I'll never forget the summer of 2010. I was fresh out of college, brimming with enthusiasm, and ready to conquer the world. Back then, I believed motivation was the secret ingredient to success. I would scroll through inspirational videos, listen to fiery speeches, and write down my dreams with fervor. But as the weeks turned into months, I hit a wall, one that motivation alone couldn't get me over. It started with my goal to get in shape. Like many, I'd watch a Tony Robbins video, get pumped up, and set a lofty target to lose 30 pounds. The first week went great. I hit the gym daily, prepped my meals, and even gave up my beloved late-night snacks. But by week 2, the novelty wore off. I woke up one morning feeling sluggish and unmotivated. I'll skip today and make up for it tomorrow, I told myself. That one skip day snowballed into a week, and by the end of the month, I was back to square one. Motivation had failed me. Frustrated, I turned to my uncle, who'd always been a steady rock in my life. He was a retired army officer, disciplined to the core. Over coffee one morning, I vented about my struggles. He listened quietly, then leaned forward and said, "Adam, motivation is like a spark. It's great to get you started, but if you don't build a fire with discipline, that spark will die out."
His words hit me like a lightning bolt. I realized I'd been relying on fleeting bursts of inspiration instead of cultivating consistent habits. Determined to change, I adopted a new approach. I started small, committing to just 15 minutes of exercise every day, no exceptions. Rain or shine, motivated or not, I showed up. Over time, 15 minutes turned into 30, then an hour. I didn't rely on how I felt, I relied on the commitment I'd made to myself. Here's the interesting part, science backs this up. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania found that self-discipline, not IQ or talent, is the single greatest predictor of success. In one study, students with higher levels of self-discipline consistently outperformed their more intelligent peers. Why? Because discipline creates structure, and structure breeds results. Another study by Dr. Roy Baumeister, a leading psychologist, introduced the concept of ego depletion, which explains why relying solely on motivation can be exhausting. Motivation is finite, it ebbs and flows throughout the day. Discipline, however, operates like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. With discipline, you create habits that run on autopilot, freeing you from the constant need to muster willpower. Fast forward to today, and self-discipline has transformed every area of my life. It's how I built a successful career, how I've maintained a steady fitness routine for over a decade, and how I've grown my YouTube channel, Inspire and Thrive by Adams, into a platform that inspires thousands of people and help them. Discipline got me through the days when no one watched my videos, when the workouts felt unbearable, and when I wanted to quit. Let me share one last story to drive the point home. A friend of mine, Sarah, had always wanted to write a book. She'd start every January with a burst of motivation, writing feverishly for a few weeks before life got in the way. Year after year, the book remained unwritten. Finally, she decided to approach it differently. Instead of waiting for motivation, she set a non-negotiable rule: write 500 words a day, no matter what. Some days, the words flowed, other days, it felt like pulling teeth. But by the end of the year, she had a finished manuscript. That book went on to become a bestseller. The takeaway? Motivation may ignite the flame, but self-discipline keeps it burning. It's not about feeling like doing the work, it's about doing it anyway. And when you choose discipline over motivation, you're not just building habits, you're building a life of consistency, resilience, and success. So, the next time you're tempted to wait for inspiration, remember this: every small act of discipline compounds over time. Show up, even when you don't feel like it. Because in the end, it's not motivation that shapes your destiny, it's discipline.
Let me tell you a story about a man named Armin. Armin was, by all accounts, a classic procrastinator. His alarm clock had become a decoration, snooze was his best friend, and his dreams of building a better life always seemed to stay just out of reach. Every Sunday night, he'd feel a surge of motivation to turn his life around, but by Monday morning, he was back to scrolling his phone in bed and telling himself, "I'll start tomorrow." One day, Armin's cousin, Zara, came to visit. Zara was one of those people who seemed to have it all together. She had a flourishing business, ran marathons, and still had time to volunteer at a local charity. Frustrated with his own lack of progress, Armin asked her, "How do you do it? How are you so disciplined?" Zara smiled and said, discipline isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. You start small, and you stay consistent. Want me to show you how? Armin nodded, and what Zara shared with him not only changed his life but is backed by science. Step 1. Start tiny. Zara told Armin, the biggest mistake people make is trying to change everything at once. Instead, start with something so small it's almost impossible to fail. She explained the concept of microhabits, popularized by behavior scientist Dr. B.J. Fogg. For example, if you want to start exercising, don't aim for an hour-long workout. Commit to just 2 push-ups a day. Once that habit sticks, you can build on it. Armin started by committing to making his bed every morning. It felt trivial, but Zara explained that completing even the smallest task gives you a sense of accomplishment, creating a domino effect for the rest of your day. This is supported by research on keystone habits, habits that spark positive changes in other areas of life. Step 2. Attach the habit to an existing routine. You need to anchor your new habit to something you already do, Zara said. This technique, called habit stacking, comes from James Clear's book Atomic Habits. For example, if you brush your teeth every morning, you could say, after I brush my teeth, I'll do my 2 push-ups. The familiarity of the existing routine makes it easier to adopt the new habit. Armin decided to drink a glass of water right after waking up, anchoring it to his habit of shutting off his alarm. Over time, this simple act of hydration became automatic. Step 3. Use visual cues. Zara walked Armin through the power of visual reminders. Research shows that our environment plays a massive role in shaping our behavior. For instance, a study by Dr. Thorndike demonstrated that rearranging hospital cafeterias to place water bottles at eye level significantly increased water consumption. Armin set his workout clothes next to his bed each night. Seeing them first thing in the morning eliminated excuses and reminded him of his commitment. Step 4. Reward progress, no matter how small. The brain loves rewards, Zara explained. Neuroscience shows that dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter, is released when we achieve even small wins. These bursts of dopamine reinforce the habit, making it more likely to stick. Armin started tracking his progress in a notebook. Each day he made his bed or drank his glass of water, he gave himself a checkmark. Seeing those checkmarks accumulate gave him a sense of pride and encouraged him to keep going. Step 5. Forgive yourself and keep going. One day, Armin forgot to drink his morning water. He felt frustrated and was tempted to give up entirely. But Zara reminded him of the 2-day rule, a concept where you allow yourself to miss 1 day but never 2 in a row. This simple rule helped Armin bounce back without spiraling into guilt or self-doubt. The results. 6 months later, Armin barely recognized himself. He'd started exercising regularly, eating healthier, and even working on a passion project he'd neglected for years. The secret wasn't motivation, it was discipline, built one small habit at a time. Scientific truths to remember. Consistency trumps intensity. Research shows that small, consistent actions lead to lasting behavior change. The key is repetition. Habits reduce decision fatigue. According to Dr. Roy Baumeister, willpower is a finite resource. Habits automate behavior, freeing up mental energy for more important tasks. Momentum builds motivation. Psychologist Dr. Teresa Amabel's progress principle states that even small wins can significantly boost motivation. So, if you're someone who feels stuck like Armin once did, remember, discipline isn't about giant leaps. It's about small, deliberate steps that you take every single day. Start tiny, stay consistent, and watch how those small wins transform your life. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe my channel and also share this video who needs it.